Hey everybody, Tim Miller from the Bulwark here. I wanted to rant a little bit more about the absolutely unconscionable firings at the FBI today, as reported by the New York Times. I talked about this a little bit with Ann Applebaum in the podcast, but I got some more to get off my chest. The news, in case you've missed it, is Brian Driscoll, who's known as the Driz internally, or Driz internally, was just thrust into this role as acting FBI director after Chris Wray resigned like a coward after Trump won the election. And so Driz gets this job as acting FBI director, very respected inside the Bureau. I've talked to a bunch of FBI agents about him, not political, just kind of like a guy that just is there to do the job of protecting the country, a real public servant. He gets this job of FBI acting director, and he gets these demands from people at DOJ and elsewhere to fire everybody at the FBI that was involved in any of the January 6th investigations. And he refused to do it. And at the time, there was a lot of concern that he was going to be pushed out, and he wasn't. And he was pushed out as of today, forced out by FBI Director Kash Patel. He was forced out alongside Walter Jardina, who was one of the agents that was investigating officials from the first Trump administration, including working on the case that sent Peter Navarro to jail. So I want to talk about how outrageous this is. Okay. There have been a bunch of examples. We talked about the Commissioner of Labor Statistics, and Trump's been doing this all over the government. When it comes to the FBI, like, these are people that put themselves on the line to protect the country. All right. These are patriots. These are people that if you back the blue, you would think that you would have the back of FBI agents whose job it is to investigate crime, investigate public corruption, investigate people that are working against the country in various ways, investigating people that are trying to undermine the safety of Americans. And the idea that you would arbitrarily push people out just based on their political views is insane. And in the case of Driz, he didn't even have, he wasn't even involved in any of this. It was just an accident of luck that he got put into the acting role and was given an unconstitutional, totally inappropriate demand from the incoming Trump administration. I said he wasn't going to do it. You got to put in your own FBI director. They can decide what to do. So Driz didn't even do anything. But I want to get back to Driscoll. I want to talk just to demonstrate how fucking heartless and horrible these people are. I want to point you to one part of the story about Jardina. Here's this paragraph from the Times story. Neither Mr. Driscoll nor Mr. Jardina is eligible to retire. So firing is going to have negative consequences on their retirement benefits that they would get. And how about this on top of it? Mr. Jardina's wife died last month of cancer. An FBI spokeswoman where Mr. Jardina worked declined to comment. Dude's wife died of cancer last month, and you were firing him because he did his job? You're firing him without eligibility for retirement benefits? And you think that you're the ones that back the blue? This is just nasty stuff. Nasty stuff. At least in the case of Mr. Jardina, again, this is not rational. This is not appropriate. It doesn't have historical precedent. The idea that an incoming administration would clear out rank and file FBI agents because of their involvement in past investigations that the new administration didn't like. Like, not the top people, not the political people, but just the agents. Investigators, that has no precedent. But in the case of Brian Driscoll, he wasn't even involved in any of that. Brian Driscoll was just thrust into the role of, taking over this job of running this bureau while all of the, Real Housewives of MAGA and Christopher Wray and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and Donald Trump figured out their little cat fight about who was going to run the FBI. This dude was just I'm standing in to do the job. He had huge support from inside the bureau. He was a career FBI agent, somebody that had actual experience in this space, unlike Kash Patel, unlike Dan Bongino. He gets given this absurd demand that he fires his colleagues, not for cause, but because, they happen to be involved in some investigation. And now, months later, he's retaliated against. Are you awake, MAGA? Are you awake? Is this what you want? You want the administration? You want Kash Patel and Dan Bongino firing people that are here to protect us? But just because their presence is inconvenient? Because they didn't want to participate in the politicization of the Bureau? We talked to Mike Fineberg about this a couple weeks ago, who's in the Bureau. His story is also absurd. If you missed that, let's just play a little clip from Mike Fineberg explaining what happened to him.
I was at the office on a Saturday, and I get a call from my special agent in charge, who tells me that it has come to the attention of the deputy director, as she called him, that I'm
Deputy Dan, we call him around here.
Yeah, it's come to his attention that I have remained friends and remained in contact with Pete Strzok since he left the Bureau. And there's nothing false in that. It's absolutely true. He and his wife were a guest at my wedding. We hang out quite a bit. We talk all the time. As I said in the piece, largely about the food scene in various cities and mostly about different bands. Our friendship kicked off when we discovered we were both huge Smiths fans. It's not exactly the stuff of a deep state conspiracy, more just us.
I don't know. Morrissey's been getting pretty kooky these days, so you never know.
Yeah, he's problematic. Let's put it that way. But yeah, so I admitted to being friends with Pete, and there were a series of more phone calls about it. And basically by the end of the day, once I had sort of regained my self-composure, because it was very clear to me that my life really was about to change drastically as a result of having a target on my back for Bongino and Patel, I was explicitly told by my special agent in charge that my career was functionally over. I was not going to get a promotion for which I was in. I needed to prepare for the fact that I would in all likelihood be demoted. And I also needed to reconcile myself to the fact that I would be called up to DC in order to submit to a polygraph about the nature of my friendship with Pete, whatever that means.
They explicitly said that to you? You're going to have to go take a polygraph test like you're in Meet the Parents?
Yeah.
Talk about whether you and Pete were what? I don't what would even have been
I don't know.
Accusation?
As near as I can tell, Patel and Bongino really do believe that there is some sort of deep state conspiracy, like something out of a Chesterton novel. That
I don't think either of them have read any Chesterton, but
probably not. But,
more like
I'm actually making a point to drop in as many cultural references they would not understand in every interview I do as possible. But yeah, I think they really do believe that there is some sort of organized deep state resistance to the Trump agenda, which is just quite frankly not true.
So in his case, he wasn't pushed out like Jardina and Driscoll, but he's told he wasn't going to get a promotion. He was going to be hassled. He's going to have to go take a lie detector test. He's going to have to go kiss the ring of Deputy Dan, the former podcast host, former security guard turned deputy FBI director. And so he resigns. So he leaves. And what was his crime? Going to a concert with Pete Strzok. That was his crime. He wasn't even working on any of this. He was a fucking China expert. So we're kicking out the China expert. We're kicking out the guy that has the respect of his fellow agents that stepped up when Chris Wray, wilted and tucked his tail and ran. We're finding the guy that's wife just died of cancer. These are the people that we're getting rid of in the government to put in podcasters. Do you feel safer now? Do you feel safer now, America? That a fucking podcaster is the deputy director of the FBI, and experienced people with expertise on China and how the agency runs and how investigations run are being scuttled because Kash Patel is such a small man that he can't have them around. I don't feel safer. And I also don't feel like this is an appropriate way to treat people. That's not how you run an organization if you want to get loyalty. And what it's going to do here, what it's doing, and it's not just me guessing. I'm hearing this from people. What this means is that good FBI agents are looking at all this. They're looking at the way that they're treating Driz. They're looking at the way they treated Fineberg, and they're saying, "I'm out of here when I can get out of here." Whenever I'm eligible for retirement, whenever if I have another opportunity, I'm out of here. And you're going to be bringing in people that are willing to act in corrupt manner. They're willing to say whatever you want. They're willing to tell you lies instead of truths because they know that'll make Donald Trump and Kash Patel happy. It is sick what's happening at the FBI, and it's deeply concerning. All right. I told you I wanted to get off my chest on this one. Subscribe to the feed. I got more coming on this. What's happening in this administration from a staffing standpoint is, it's going to boggle your mind, and it is just heinous. And I'm going to be talking to one of the January 6th officers, friend of mine, about a man that wanted to kill him getting a role at the DOJ. So subscribe to the feed, stick around, make sure you know that video is coming, and we'll be talking to you soon.